point out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 617th edition of Energy Week with George Harvey and Nancy Wolf.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
There. Hi. Hello there.
I have to finish what I'm starting here. This is a news aggregation program which is doing 3 pieces of news for every day from the 20th of March, which is a week ago today, to the 26th of March, which is yesterday, and 7 days, 3 items for each day. They come from my blog, geoharvey.com, and if you go down on a computer below the screen, scroll up, I guess, you will find a link to a tiny URL site, which is going to be Energy Week 617. And you can click on that site and see all of the pictures, all of the titles, all of the synopses of these articles. You can also see them by going to geoharvey.com, but you have to kind of search for them there a little bit. Click on the date on the calendar, and then there will be 15 articles, usually 15. Sometimes it's a little bit fewer, and you can choose from things there. Now, I want to start with something that is not in this week's news, and this is something that was in today's news, which is that in 2024, worldwide, renewable generating capacity was 92.5% of what was installed. So 7.5% by capacity, 7.5% was oil, gas, coal, nuclear, and that 7.5% was all of that combined. And the reason I want to point this out is that the United States is investing in the 4 items that are not renewable that I just named, which means that we are increasing production, theoretically, in order to address a declining market, the lowest it's been in 10 years or more. And it's on its way down, which is kind of like deciding in 1920 that we want to invest heavily in buggy whip manufacturing. You know, what do you say? What do you say to that?
Technology. It's a funny thing.
It's a funny thing. Yeah. Okay, so we will start on March 20th, Thursday, March 20th. And we have a picture of a wave.
And we're going to get to the picture of a wave in just 1 second.
There we go.
Now we have the picture of the wave. And the headline here is, last decade was Earth's hottest ever as CO2 levels reach an 800,000-year high.
And this is from ABC News. And by the way, I have spent a little time trying to figure out how they know.
Yeah.
And when you do that research, you discover they know. It's real. This is not a joke. This is not made up. In its annual State of the Climate report, the World Meteorological Organization revealed an increasingly warming world with oceans at record high temperatures. That's really important. Glaciers retreating at record speed and sea levels rising. Atmospheric carbon dioxide levels are at an 800,000-year high. The ocean temperatures are very worrying because they are what put energy into hurricanes and other cyclonic storms.
It's also life.
Well, they do. Yeah. The warming temperatures are driving all the lobsters north. So people in Maine are seeing declining harvests of lobster.
Yeah, and that becomes an economic issue for a region.
It is, and
Yeah.
they've already been driven out of the waters of Rhode Island and so forth, and but this is going to be expensive.
Yeah.
We've had huge increases in insurance costs, insuring against climate problems, flooding particularly, and now we're at a point where insurance companies just will not insure houses that are in the wrong locations, like on the coast in Florida.
Yeah.
So maybe Mar-a-Lago is insured by somebody who feels like this is a good idea. I don't know.
It's only based on feeling, though. That's it. That's all it's based on is feeling.
Okay.
My comment on this is so bad. That's my comment. So bad.
Yeah, so bad. I'm seeing good things, but that isn't one of them.
Don't know that one just as bad.
Okay, next up from the BBC, we have a picture of a house in Northern Ireland, and I swear I saw that house in Pennsylvania.
Well, the headline here is low carbon farming essential for climate goals.
Low carbon farming practices are essential, in quotes, to meeting Northern Ireland's climate goals, according to the Climate Change Committee. The committee has recommended a 77% reduction in overall emissions by 2040 in its advice on Northern Ireland's fourth carbon budget. And I don't know what to say about this. There's a lot of disagreement about how you reduce carbon on a farm.
I mean, here I'm seeing like someone saying advice, someone taking advice.
Yeah.
I'm just curious about about how likely this is of advice taking and taking actually the advice, because I love this low carbon farming and that this climate change committee has recommended. I mean, it's
that huge reduction.
Yeah, that huge reduction.
Which they could do by giving everybody a chicken.
Yes, all the chickens.
Yeah.
I wish I could have one in my apartment. I can't. I have an apartment. I don't have a backyard. I have a backyard, but I don't.
Maybe we could have a community chicken farm.
That is also true. We could do that. That could be a community.
Like a community solar place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
the
word.
I have been watching different people who are in farming coming up with different solutions, and they are so different, it's crazy. Some of them say don't raise cattle, and others say raise cattle. And the reasons, you have to do the research to find the reasons behind this, because what is the guy's name? Salatin. Joel Salatin, farmer in Virginia, who is, I don't know, he's kind of right wing, but politically, but he's been taking cattle and putting them through not daily but close to daily changes of pasture, and the result of this is that he's building up the soil enormously. And this is an issue that I think is probably not final in terms of knowledge. So should we go on, or do you have more about that?
Let's go on.
Okay. We have a nasty looking generating plant here, and in this article, which came from Clean Technica.
And the headline here is more beautiful, clean coal power coming to U.S. thanks to America's Ayatollah.
Coal accounts for about 15% of electric generation in the United States, down from over 50% in the year 2000, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. But the Trump administration wants to return to coal. He calls it, quote, beautiful, clean coal, end quote. But it is neither beautiful nor clean. So you have anything to say about it?
Yeah, I thought maybe he was referring to coal people being beautiful.
Yeah, I take
clean.
all those girls in the Miss America contest or whatever it was that he offended by going into the dressing room.
Yeah, like
send
maybe
them down into a mine.
maybe it's just the people. The people are so great who
Yeah.
make coal. They're so great, these people.
Yeah.
And that's what he's thinking. Because
I have no idea.
Looking at actual coal and thinking and saying these things.
I have no idea. I don't know what is on his mind. Now, again, 92% plus of new generating capacity in the United States is renewable. Why is that? And I don't think there's been any appreciable new coal-burning power plant put online in 10 years. Because the United States started moving away from coal in about 1905, when the Navy started specifying warships that had no coal. They were all powered by oil. And that gave them abilities that you can't get by having guys down in the boiler rooms shoveling coal into the fireboxes. And we hit our peak in terms of coal employment at way over 800,000 coal miners in about 1920, 1925. Now it's fewer than 50,000, I think. If it isn't, it's barely more. But nevertheless, we're up to Friday, March 21st. Yeah. And we have a picture of solar on the right, on the far right there, the dark area of the screen, and batteries.
And the headline on this one is Why Solar and Batteries Are Now the Engine Room of the Energy Transition.
This is from Renew Economy, which is an Australian publication. Quinbrook Infrastructure Investors, one of the world's biggest investors in renewable energy systems, says the falling cost of solar and batteries is pushing the green energy transition to a tipping point. It will underpin massive new green metals industries. And I would say, based on this 92% of 2024, this is last year, of that capacity going in as renewable, I would say we're past the tipping point. Unless something really bizarre happens, coal is not going to recover. Oil is not going to recover. And when it comes to generating capacity, our generating capacity for natural gas, we're still adding new natural gas plants, but we're also retiring old ones. And in 2024, we retired more than we added.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to say about this. Anyway, should we go on?
Yeah, let's go on.
We have a picture of a Hess-I LiDAR unit and an article from Clean Technica. The LiDAR unit is the round thing in the middle of the picture.
Oh. LiDAR's wicked cost drop is this headline.
Now that's a cost drop, not a cough drop. Okay. An article from, I just want to make sure people heard that right.
Oh, cost drop, yeah.
An article from China Daily on growing autonomous driving and dropping costs says this, quote, a LiDAR unit, for instance, used to cost 30,000 yuan, which is about $4,100, but now it costs only 1,000 yuan, which is $138. end quote. The extra cost is minimal now if it provides much better safety and results in fewer accidents. And the interesting thing there is Chinese car makers are starting to put this in every car, or every electric car, I should say. In 2005, by the way, David Hall invented LiDAR. He's an American. And according to Wikipedia, at that point it cost $80,000. And it was first used a while after that, but I think the $4,100 was probably a drop to the first cars used. Do you know about Wright's Law? I've probably told you about Wright's Law. Wright's Law says if you can track over time a decline in cost, or some other important change in making it easier for production or whatever, once you've got that established, it will probably continue, which means that if this has dropped 95% in 10 years, then we can expect it to drop 95% in the next 10 years as well. And that is something that has been tracked by studies. I'm amazed at how those studies go, but it gets tracked. And solar panels. Automobiles, by the way, went through this process of a declining cost, and it was when Henry Ford said, I'm going to take my workers off of a 60-hour week and put them on a 48-hour week, and I'm going to increase their pay, and I'm going to drop the cost of the car all at once. And that was coming, and people who saw it coming were not as surprised. But anything more on that?
Scary is my reaction to it.
Scary. You don't like LiDAR?
No, it's the it's autonomous driving that I'm afraid of.
Yeah, I think it will take me a while to get used to that idea. They say they're getting these cars to a point where they're much safer than human drivers. That I believe. LiDAR units and the computers they put in cars tend not to get drunk. So, and when I see people drive down Elliott Street, once in a while, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I do feel, I don't know how to say. I feel at odds with myself thinking about these LiDAR units, and this is a little bit too modern for me.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Yeah.
We have an item from Renews, and this is solar panels. These solar panels were not put in by the company who's the subject of this article, but there they are. They're in Devon. I used to live in Devon. Devon's a nice place. Unless you happen to be living on Dartmoor, which is where they had Dartmoor Prison.
Okay. Well, this headline is Schroeder's Green Coat hits 2 gigawatts, UK solar milestone.
The firm Schroeder's Green Coat hit a landmark 2 gigawatts in operating UK solar capacity, equivalent to supplying annual needs of about 730,000 homes. With over 200 solar projects operating in the UK, Schroeder's Green Coat's portfolio is about 1/5 of the UK's total ground mount solar capacity. So now you know. Anything more on that?
Just, I'm amazed at how well we pronounced all of that. That's all.
Well, we try.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this one coming up, we're up to Saturday, March 22nd, and we've got an item from Clean Technica. That picture is a blue shift cell, and it's doing the thing we're talking about in the article.
So the headline here is Blue Shift Electrochemical Process Extracts Critical Minerals from Industrial Waste and Seawater.
Yeah, there are many minerals and other valuable components in wastewater, but extraction can be costly and have negative environmental impacts. Blue Shift, which is a startup, says it has answers to these problems, and it's landed $2.1 million in seed money for a pilot project. And that doesn't look like a $2.1 million device to me.
I also, it's vague.
It's vague.
It's vague to say has answers to those problems.
Yes, it is vague.
Maybe if they had a specific answer to the problem, that would be the focus of the article.
When I think of this article, I think about the fact that there are companies that are they're building submersibles that go to the ocean floor, and they just go around the ocean floor picking up nodules that are down there and sticking them in their bins, and then coming up to the surface with these nodules, which are loaded with all kinds of things that we want, like nickel and iron, but iron isn't a big one. And I looked into that, and I'm sitting there thinking, why? Why are there nodules on the ocean floor? And it's because the ocean water has these minerals, and the minerals drop out, especially well where they have already dropped out.
Yeah.
And ocean water has minerals in it. In fact, you can detect small amounts, traces of every element that's available in nature. And most radioactive elements are not available in nature. Uranium is, but californium is not, there they are. So if you can figure out how to get them out, which these people say they have done, there's gold in the water. There's silver in the water.
Yep.
There's
buried treasure.
Yeah, buried treasure in the water. Okay. We have a picture of a wind turbine, a couple of wind turbines in a ship. This is Subsea 7 at work. This is an article from Renews.
Yeah, so the headline here is Subsea 7 Renewables Unit sees 2024 earnings rise.
Yeah, I generally don't put reports about earnings into my blog, but in this particular case, I liked the picture. Yeah. So in 2024, Subsea 7's renewable business unit saw its adjusted earnings rise to $185 million, up from $103 million in the previous year. Revenue increased by 29% to $1.2 billion in 2024, while net operating income was $53 million, up from a prior year's loss of $74 million. It's doing better. And that's important. So, there it is. Subsea 7 is, I don't know what that ship is. It looks like a wind turbine maintenance ship or something.
Yeah, lots of gears on that one.
Of gears?
Looks like gears and very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the bow, which I think the bow is very near in the picture to the big wind turbine. You see a thing projecting from the ship, and that, I believe, is the pad for a helicopter to land on.
I see.
These are not small.
No.
Okay. Let's go on. We have a picture of solar panels. These are tracking systems, and they will follow the sun across the sky as they go. And I'm going to guess, because it doesn't hurt to guess, because nobody's going to bother checking me. I'm going to guess that this picture was taken very close to noon, because these panels look like they're pretty much at the position that they were put in for. This is from PV Magazine USA. I like guessing about where they are, for example. Are they pointing north and therefore south of the equator, maybe? Or are they, whatever? And anyway.
Yeah, well, the headline on this one is Solar Exceeds 10% of U.S. electric generating capacity.
Solar currently represents 10.53% of total available installed generating capacity in the United States, according to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which, by the way, is very often referred to as FERC. Solar capacity is approaching that of its renewable energy counterpart in wind, which is now 11.77% of available capacity. Between them, with other renewable things involved, including geothermal and water, hydropower is very big, things like that. This is the second biggest chunk, if you include renewables as a single group. It's behind natural gas, but it's way out ahead of coal and nuclear. So there we are. We're up to Sunday, March 23rd, and we have a story from Clean Technica. That is a community solar project.
Yeah.
You were talking about community solar earlier.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about it with this article. This headline here is Trump is powerless to stop the community solar movement from spreading.
Trump eliminated federal funding allocated for clean tech through the Defense Production Act. The sweeping gesture generated a few headlines for the attention-seeking 47th president of the United States, but the reality behind the headlines tells a different story. And of course, the story that it tells is that community solar is being installed.
Yep.
And I don't see how that's going to stop. And clearly the author of this report doesn't either.
Yeah, it's a hell yeah. It's just.
Why would you install nuclear power if the electricity it generates costs 3 times as much? And on top of that, if you install solar in a battery, which is the way that it's being done now, not only is it a third of the cost of nuclear or less, but it's more reliable than nuclear. Even though the sun is not always shining, if you've got that battery, you've got a way to get through to the next day. And, there it is. So, should we go on?
Yeah.
We have a picture of no lobbyists at Beyond This Point. And that, by the way, is not in the United States Capitol. It's in the Maryland State House.
Yeah.
This article from Clean Technica.
I've been there.
Have you?
I have.
I've been in Maryland, but not to the State House.
I've been to the State House. So the headline here is Big Oil Lobbying Congress for Immunity from Climate Lawsuits.
This is infuriating. Mm-hmm. They're going to Congress and they are, by lobbying, pretty much admitting that they did kill people. Mm-hmm. The studies have been done and they all point to one thing, that these big oil groups are killing people.
Yeah.
Big Oil, along with its conjoined methane producers, is lobbying Congress to shield it from liability for destroying the environment and killing people. Pay attention to this. The fossil fuel industry is asking to be let off the hook for decades of lying about climate change, among other things, and cheating that costs thousands of lives every year.
They're just trying. I just see this. They're trying to Price Anderson act themselves.
Oh, I think this is worse than Price Anderson. I really do. They have killed people in a number that Price Anderson, we haven't seen that
No,
number of
I
people.
just mean that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get the Price Anderson Act is a liability.
Yes.
Protects nuclear companies
Yes.
from liability.
Yes.
And that's exactly what these oil companies are doing, is they're trying to make sure that they don't have liabilities. So they might be looking at the Price Anderson Act and looking at that and saying, well, look at all this construction that was built. And it was built without, okay.
Well, they want to get away with murder, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, they do.
And they want the Congress to back them up on that.
Well, it's like a tobacco trial. It's the same. It's we've killed people. We won't talk about it. But we've killed people. But we won't talk about it.
Yeah.
And
Oh well. Okay. Then we have this thing. That is a weather balloon launch. And this article is from ABC News.
The headline here is experts say U.S. weather forecasts will worsen as DOGE cuts balloon launches.
With massive cuts, the National Weather Service is eliminating or reducing vital weather balloon launches in 8 northern locations. They are not reducing in the south yet, which meteorologists and former agency leaders said will degrade the accuracy of forecasts just as severe weather season kicks in. And I think there's another one that comes up in this. Let me just look.
So my question is, what's the point of eliminating this one thing?
Oh, they're eliminating everything.
No, I know, but like this thing is so weird.
Yeah. Our last news item addresses this and other things dealing with weather.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna do the little spoiler here for a second and say the weather items that they are eliminating don't cost very much. It doesn't cost very much to do what that person is doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like this is ridiculous. This is like there's 8.
Yeah. 8. But the payback from what they're trying to reduce is 73 to 1.
Yep.
So for every $1 million that they eliminate from the federal budget, you can expect $73 million worth of damage or other budget things.
Yep.
This is, I think, flat out, I don't want to call it insanity because it's worse than that.
It's an insult to insanity.
It's an insult to insanity. It's like, I don't know. It's bad. It really is bad. So, yeah, we'll get to that in the other item, which is the last item that we'll deal with. We are up to Monday, March 24th, and we have a picture of corn in a field. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason why we have a picture of corn. This is from ABC News.
This headline is Monsanto parent Bayer ordered to pay nearly $2.1 billion in Roundup weed killer lawsuit.
A jury in Georgia ordered Bayer, the parent of Monsanto. Why Bayer would buy Monsanto is beyond me. But they ordered Bayer to pay nearly $2.1 billion in damages to a man who says the company's Roundup weed killer caused his cancer, according to attorneys representing the plaintiff. This is just the latest verdict against Monsanto. This is $2.1 billion to one person in one case. And if they had that consistently from all the people who had been damaged by this stuff, I don't think they'd be able to pay for the law for the appeals to the lawsuits. There would be so many of them.
They need to have their own prices. I'm just giving them all ideas as to how to construct.
We shouldn't be laughing about this.
I know.
This is absolutely horrible. And there's a reason why I put the article didn't have this picture of a cornfield. I went looking for a cornfield. I don't know what percentage it is, but I think it's like 95% or more of all the corn grown in the United States uses Roundup. And other crops, wheat and so forth, also use Roundup. And our honeybees are, the term is dropping like flies. We're doing an incredible amount of damage.
Yeah.
And the damage is being done to the agricultural sector. So what do? Well, when the agricultural sector has a problem, typically it just uses more Roundup. And a couple of months ago, we saw I don't think you were here, maybe you were, but I saw an article go through that talked about robots that would fertilize flowers. They were flying robots that would go from one to the next, fertilizing the flowers, collecting pollen and fertilizing the flowers. What?
Bees don't need to be robots.
No, they don't.
We have them. They're called bees.
I don't know how much such a robot would cost. If you were producing them by the millions, you wouldn't be producing them in numbers that would be big enough. You'd have to, how many honeybees are there in the United States? And they just kind of naturally appear if you let them. We've got insanity going on here.
Yes, we do.
Oh, well. Okay. So unless you have more on that, I'm going to go to the next one.
Yeah, let's go to the next one.
And I liked this picture of kangaroos frisking about.
Yes, in the solar park.
Yeah.
And the headline here is European Energy inaugurates Oz Solar Park.
Oz, of course, is Australia. Mm-hmm. This is from Renews. European Energy inaugurated its first operational Australian solar project after completing it ahead of schedule. When was the last time you saw a nuclear plant completed ahead of schedule?
Never.
Has it ever happened?
No.
I doubt it.
Don't think so.
The 58 megawatt Mokoan solar park in Winton, Victoria, of course being a state in Australia, marks the opening step in European Energy's 9 gigawatt pipeline in Australia. They're going to put 9 gigawatts, this one company is going to put 9 gigawatts of renewable generating capacity into Australia. Commercial operation is due to begin in June of 2025.
That's pretty soon.
But that's what happens with solar. You know, when they announce solar, at the most distant, it's about 3 years away. But a lot of times they go in, they build, they're done, they go home, and it's a couple of months.
Yeah.
Nuclear plants, I don't remember what the plant was, but there was one plant that got finished in the United States that had been kicking around in an incomplete state for 40 years.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, Yucca Mountain is one thing to add to that.
We still don't have a place to get rid of nuclear waste.
No.
And in fact, they being Canadian nuclear industry, wanted to get a nuclear waste depository in Ottawa, and they got sued by a couple of First Nation groups, which won the suit. And now, of course, there's going to be appeals, but it's like the judge said to the people who wanted to build this thing, you didn't do your homework. You have to check further and get more work done to show that this is not going to have environmental issues. And this happened after the Canadian equivalent of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission had said it's okay.
Yeah.
So nuclear power is, I don't know what to say. Okay, our next item is from offshoreenergy.biz, and we have a picture of Cook Inlet.
Yeah, we do. Okay.
This is kind of cool.
Yeah. So the headline here is ORPC files draft license for Alaska tidal energy project.
The United States-based Ocean Renewable Power Company has submitted a draft pilot license application. What is a pilot license? We're going to fly around. To the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission for its East Foreland Tidal Energy Project in Cook Inlet, Alaska. The site is recognized as having one of the highest tidal energy potentials in the United States. Now, I don't think this is as high a potential as the Bay of Fundy, but the Bay of Fundy isn't in the United States. It's only available to the United States. This is look at that, isn't that beautiful? This is a place where the tides go up and go down, and when they've tried to put turbines into the Bay of Fundy, they get ripped out because of the power of the tide. They just don't stand
Nature
up.
says no.
I was working in a plant. It's a place where we had computer engineers and so forth. I was working as a computer engineer, and it was in a facility of the Plymouth Cordage Company. It was a cordage company, and it was right on the water. It wasn't on the ocean. It was on Plymouth Bay, which is a fairly big bay with a fairly narrow inlet. So the waves were nowhere near as big as they were farther out. But the seawall got breached during, I think it was the perfect storm. And I went down to the seawall, and there was a road along the seawall. And every time a wave hit, big blocks of asphalt would go flying up in the air. And the waves would come in and they'd hit that seawall, and they'd go 3 or 4 stories up and then get hit by the wind and carried across the top of a warehouse, after which they would drop into a parking lot. So these cars were just getting completely doused by salt water. And when I went back the next day, some of the blocks in the seawall had been washed out to sea. These were, I think, maybe granite blocks, about that big, about this high, about that wide. I have no idea how much that weight would be. Is it a half ton? Is it a ton? Is it more than a ton? I don't know. But they got washed out to sea by the action of the waves. You don't mess around with Mother Nature.
You don't. No, you don't.
No.
No.
Okay, should we go on?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. We have a picture of offshore infrastructure, and in this particular case, that is, I believe, a wind turbine, certainly, but also a substation.
Yeah, some sort of station, looks
Yeah.
like.
This is from Renews.
And the headline here is Kent wins contract to aid UK energy transition.
Yeah, Kent, an engineering and project services company, won a framework contract. I have no idea what a framework contract is, to support the UK government's energy transition. Kent was awarded a place on the UK's Department of Energy Security and Net Zero ENZPS framework. I'm getting lost. I don't understand this. To provide strategic expertise and management advice. If you're an expert in renewable energy, my guess is you can probably get a job.
Yeah.
But I wish I knew more about that to report. Do you know anything about it? I read the article.
There's a framework to provide strategic expertise.
A framework to provide
strategic expertise.
Yes. Okay. I kind of got that, but sorry about that, everybody. Okay, our next item. Let's escape from that.
Yeah.
Our next item is from Clean Technica, and we have an octopus energy image of wind turbines.
This is from Clean Technica, and this headline is Texas Senate votes to shred renewable energy rules.
The Texas Senate, obeying the demands of the fossil fuels industries, passed SB 388, which sets a target for 50% of new power plant capacity to be, quote, sourced from dispatchable generation other than battery energy storage, end quote. Companies that invest their money any other way will have to buy credits from the fossil fuel industry in order to...
Sounds a little bit like a program that was going on in, the 90s.
This is they're forcing these companies to have 50% of their new capacity be fossil fuel in a marketplace where 7.5% is fossil fuel.
Which is, it seems like the mechanism they're using are like are climate credits. Like they're using the
that
offset
as a model.
They're using the model.
Yeah.
To do the opposite.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're doing this like so much that's being done in the United States today. So much of what's going on is being done without critical analysis.
Correct.
It's being done because somebody thinks it's a good idea, therefore it's a good idea. All they have to do is fire 25,000 employees and they'll save a lot of money. Okay, we'll get to that in the last issue, in the last item that comes up.
Yeah.
But it is insanity. Okay, we have a picture of a substation it looks to me like this is being built. That crane putting stuff up for that substation reminds me so much of those things that are attached to cement mixers, where they have the cement mixer here, but they want the cement over there, so they kind of pipe it. Mm-hmm. This is from Renews.
Yeah. So this is offshore substation installed for Changhua 2B and 4.
The offshore substation for Ørsted's 920 megawatt Greater Changhua 2B and 4 wind farms in Taiwan, that kind of explains the names, has been installed. The company hails the installation as a, quote, landmark milestone, end quote, for the construction of the offshore wind project. Ørsted also did the first export cable selection for the project. So Ørsted was involved in a lot of stuff, and that substation is an Ørsted picture. So I believe it's Ørsted substation. By the way, each of the platforms that you see on there is a different floor that people can walk around on. It looks to me like that thing is 5 stories tall, just from the first area where
Yeah.
people would walk around. This is big,
Yes, it's big.
but there are bigger ones. Okay,
Okay.
go on. We're up to
Yeah.
Wednesday, March 26th,
Yeah.
and we have a picture of an uninteresting car
Yep.
from BYD.
And this article is from Clean Technica, and the headline is BYD advances it's all EVs great and small strategy.
Where did they get that from? All creatures graded?
Great and
I don't know. BYD is having a breakout year. In 2024, it sold $107 billion worth of automobiles, trucks, and buses, up 29% from the prior year. People who make their living guessing about such things had estimated the company's revenue would be less by 11 billion yuan, which is $1.5 billion. Now, I want to point out here, Tesla reported sales of 97.7 billions in 2024. So BYD, 107, Tesla, 97.7. And BYD is ahead of Tesla now. Now, BYD is an older company. BYD started into business, I don't know exactly when, but I think it was in the late 1990s. I might be wrong, but it is an older company. And
They've been investing
they've been
for a long time.
They have been growing slowly,
Yeah.
carefully, and they have a person whose name I forget, who is the head of the company, and he has been China's equivalent of Elon Musk,
Yeah.
except that he's been sane.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Elon Musk might be a genius, but I think that honestly, if you look at geniuses, most of them are a little unstable.
Yeah, or he's bipolar or something. I don't know. Whatever.
He could be a genius who's bipolar.
Sure.
And I think he certainly looks like that.
We can also be geniuses without that other.
Yeah, but it's hard for a genius.
That's a hard life for a genius. Yeah.
It's a hard life for a genius. You have to, in order to be confident, you have to realize that you can do things other people can't do. And when you do that, you get to the point where you think to yourself, I know how to do things that other people don't know. And maybe I'm better than other people. And so you have a person like Mozart, undeniably a genius, who thinks that he knows certain things about ethics that other people don't know. And I think honestly that Mozart kind of did that. There are some geniuses who don't. And in fact, I want to say there's no relationship between IQ and genius, as you probably know.
Yep.
And I can name a person who is universally believed a genius, who I suspect would have registered an IQ of below 100. And that's Louis Armstrong. And the reason I say I think he would have done badly on an IQ test is that he had a third grade education.
Exactly.
So it can't really test his mind. But he was a genius. And I don't think that he knew more, that he thought he knew more about ethics than anybody else or something like that. I don't think that he would have, yeah.
I mean, it's almost like we're talking about ego versus.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, there's an ego aspect. If you call yourself a genius versus you are a genius, without anybody telling you that you're a genius.
I've been told I was a genius since I was in second grade.
Okay.
And I could probably tell you some stories that you might say, what? And in the last, well, since I was 70, I've learned that there are a lot of things that I don't know.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, our next item, we have a picture of fresh water and, and a story from Clean Technica.
And the headline here is Kia protecting freshwater in USA.
When we talk and write about clean tech, we often refer to technologies that help prevent global heating and the climate crisis. However, there are other things to protect too, like water. Kia America has teamed up with the Nature Conservancy to help with freshwater conservation around the United States. And that's why we had this story and that picture. Yeah. And Kia is Korean? Am I right about that?
I don't know.
I think it is. But they're trying to protect fresh water in the United States. I think that's good. Mm-hmm. We should thank them.
Yeah.
Let's all write a letter to Kia and say thank you. Our last item is weather related, and it's from ABC News.
Yeah. So this headline here is how Americans could suffer if the National Weather Service is privatized.
The NWS, National Weather Service, provides basic integral information with the aim to protect the public rather than make a profit. And this is according to ABC News chief meteorologist Ginger Z. Have you ever seen Ginger Z?
I've heard all about her.
Oh, okay. The NWS costs each American about $4 a year. That's what we pay for the National Weather Service, $4 each. One meteorology professor said the return on investment is about 73 to 1. So we get $73 worth of goods for every dollar we invest. When have you ever heard of anything that gave that kind of return?
And $4 a year?
They want to kill it. Why do you suppose they want to kill it? I can tell you it's because
it's privatized.
They want to privatize it so somebody can make.
Same with the schools. Same with everything. They want to privatize it.
I used to have, most of my friends were conservative when I was young. I would say half of them were members of the John Birch Society. And they would talk about how everything that can be should be privatized. And I'd say, okay, what about the park down the street? Yeah, that should be privatized. Okay, how do you collect the money to pay for the park? Somebody's going to have to pay to clean that place, mow the lawn and stuff. And they'd say, the owners will work it out. Okay, let's try this if you're willing to do that. What about the street in front of your house? Should that be privatized? Nobody was willing to say that he wanted to turn the street in front of his house over to a private organization that could say, you didn't pay your bill, whether you did or not, so you're not allowed to use the street. There has to be a line on this that you don't cross. And that line, I think, is crossed by altogether too great a distance if they're killing a program that has a 73 to 1 return on it.
And it only costs $4.
$4.
$4 a year.
So for a family of 5, it's $20, which isn't breakfast for a family of 5.
Yeah.
This is, but we're living in times that, I don't know. They remind me of, I don't know what I could say. Okay, we have our final slide, which is up, which says, have an exquisitely fine week. And that's what we wish for everybody. Yeah.